All right, so here it is, Sunday morning, the last morning of our May Campout 2017 here in Greenwater. It's been an amazing week. We're getting ready to wrap it up, and we're going to have our final meeting here. So, starting over here, David, anything happen new?
Not that I know of.
Nope, you good?
Unless they made me forget everything.
Okay. Okay, Kelly?
We had some stuff last night, but I'm going to let Courtney talk about it.
Oh,
And
okay.
then we had something in the Jeep that was put in the Jeep that neither one of us put in the Jeep, so we'll let Claire talk about that one. And
okay.
the only other one was, I was thinking back about the day that we had some of that noise over by the tent and stuff like that. And it was after Claire had her experience finally and got to hear something, and then she had left the tent, and then I was in there for a little bit and just kind of listening, and I did hear at one point the sound, and I kind of dismissed it, but it was really funny thinking back on it because it was like an owl, but it was like somebody imitating an owl, and it was like somebody imitating an owl that really didn't give a crap, because it was like, who? That's what I heard. I heard, who? And I know that we've been like every time going, Tristan, do that owl.
I don't do it like
I
that.
know you did it, which I thought was funny because it's just like,
Yeah.
who.
It's like, all right, this is all the effort I'm putting
I
into
know.
this one.
Exactly. But that was it.
That's awesome. Cool. All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Tristan?
I have nothing to report.
Nothing at all, huh?
Sorry. Nope.
Ah, bummer.
Well,
Okay.
last night when we were sitting here, our friends in the RV, their daughter had come in and said, I went about 40 steps up the road and seen eye shine. So some of us, me, Claire, Peter, and Nancy, went up there, and we were looking up there, and we think we seen eye shine too. Now, as we went farther up, I could see where the stars were coming through the trees and the ridge line, but I think where we seen the eye shine was below the ridge line, so way below the ridge line. So
Okay.
I believe we seen eye shine, but then after that, pretty much we kind of all come back down here. Then I went back to the bus. I put my chair out in front of the bus, and I must have stayed out way too late. Because you guys put this off for about a half an hour, wait for me to wake up, because I'm usually up at like 8:30 or 9, and it's later
Yeah,
than
we
that
started
right
getting
now.
worried around 10.
But yeah, I didn't see any UFOs, and nobody come by to visit me. But for some weird reason, one of the white plastic cups that my wife has in one of the cubbies down below was in the sink today.
Really? That's interesting.
So I don't know. I mean, I've been
Okay.
using that thing from Charlie's, or drinking out of a can. So
Huh, okay. Before we move on, could I ask a few questions about the eye shine? How far away from you would you say it was?
well, I would say halfway up the ridge line, which I'm no great judge of distance, and the eyes weren't really big either. They were just,
Just
I wouldn't say
pinpoints of light?
pinpoints, but they were a little bit bigger than pinpoints. Well, they were bigger than pinpoints, but I would say about halfway up the ridge line, maybe 3/4.
Okay,
And it was
what
not
color?
both eyes. It was just like they were looking from like side of the tree, come back, side of the tree. That's why I was like, I'm gonna walk up a little farther and see if there, what happens. And I thought, oh my God, more eye shine. And I'm looking, I go, no, that's a star, and I could see where the trees were separating. Where the starlight was coming through and everything. Starlight was. God, nobody's ever told me to be more loud. But, I could see where the trees were coming down and the starlight's coming through. So I'm like, okay, that's a star. So that's not eye shine. But when it come back, then all of a sudden it wasn't there at all when I came back to our original spot, which
okay.
would be, of course, the stars should still be there,
Okay,
and there still should be separation between the trees, but there was nothing. So
okay. And they were white?
whitish, and I seen a little yellowish, orangey.
Oh,
But
okay. Right on.
no great judge of that stuff. So
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Sandy, anything?
I do have something. This morning I woke up to the most amazing aroma.
Really?
It was the smell
Not me.
of fresh coffee.
Oh.
No, that's not possible. There's no way that can't be. And I lay there and I said, nope, that's coffee. And so I thought, well, I better find out what's going on. So I got up and Sweet Penny was out here and had made coffee.
Oh. Thank you, Penny.
I was like, oh, that was the best aroma this morning ever.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
It is actually a very good aroma in the morning.
Yeah, it
Oh, yeah.
was. Otherwise, I slept really good. I heard a little bit of something behind my tent last night, but there was nothing spectacular. It could have just been a little marmot. So
Okay.
nothing else. I slept very well.
All right, cool. Patrick?
No, nothing to report.
Nothing, no?
Nothing to
Okay.
report, no.
Sam?
No, I was busy during the day, had to take care of some things, and we
Volume.
I went back to my cabin. Such a beautiful starry night, and I have a big open area in my cabin area, so I just took the chair out and looked up and saw some awesome UFO activity up there.
Really?
So a starburst that turned into the light that just slowly went across and moved around a little bit and then took off like that. So
I even
I
missed
saw
that.
about 4 of them. And then I had this bizarre thing. Usually I know what a shooting star looks like, you know, just through the atmosphere. But this thing seemed lower in the atmosphere, like in the cloud level, and just kind of moved across the sky a little bit and then disappeared. But it didn't have the appearance like a shooting star. It actually looked like a set of 4 or 5 orb balls connected together, just kind of moving across the sky right above me.
Wow.
That was very bizarre.
That's
You know, and
interesting.
after about 15 minutes of this, I checked out and went to bed.
Okay.
So
Right
that's
on.
pretty much my
You only
activity.
think you checked that
Yeah.
Oh, maybe I went somewhere.
All right,
Maybe I had his experience.
Yeah, Sam and I were in the same place last night. We just
I
don't
might have been
remember
there
it.
too. So I don't remember none of this.
Okay.
I was looking for the same skies. And
You were out too late, obviously. Okay, Pat?
Not a lot of activity around camp here. We've been putting recorders out every night and food. Nothing's been touched. So our best activity has been at our dipping spot down in Greenwater. And every night or every morning we go there and it's been ransacked. You know, jars opened up, and pies gone, and just all over the ground. So
Wow.
we're going back this morning. I expect to have more activity.
Right
So
on.
that's pretty exciting.
cool.
Cool.
I think it's because they're more habituated than these group here, and you know, it's a
Okay.
known commodity. So it's exciting.
It is. Okay, Penny?
Nothing,
No?
nothing extraordinary.
Okay.
Except your coffee.
That was pretty
coffee.
spectacular.
Yeah. Courtney?
Last night when we were sitting around the campfire, we all decided to get up and leave. We heard nothing the entire night sitting around here. I think it was me and Barb, Patrick, who else was here?
Kelly?
And
Yeah. It was me, you, Kelly, and
Yeah.
Rob.
we all decided to get up and go to bed, and all of a sudden we started hearing stuff coming from everywhere. There was footsteps behind us. It was like we all stood up and they were like, ah, and they took off because I heard footsteps and stick breaking, and we were hearing all sorts of stuff out
We
there.
heard some like murmuring.
some
Yeah, murmuring up. Like it was like conversation, but not anything I could.
You couldn't make it out.
It just sounded like conversation.
Up in there?
Yeah,
Like right
like
here.
going here. Yeah.
Huh?
We had a recorder.
What time
up.
about?
We had a recorder up
Oh,
there.
cool. Yeah,
So
'cause
I'm
it was
wondering
just
if
like-
it picked it up.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Okay, anything else?
that's it.
All right. Peter?
The only thing I have to report was a little stroll that Pat and I had back on the road behind my campsite. She happened by and we walked back there and looked at a kind of a deadfall, possible stick structure complex where just a lot of trees are down in all kinds of directions in multiple places, and many little nooks and crannies in there. And the only thing I can think of is there was something like a windstorm tornado hit right there and blew a lot down, but some of them looked like they had been placed as well. And a lot of elk sign through there, so it could have been that the Sasquatch kind of took advantage of that and added to it and used it as a blind, an elk blind, or let their babies play around in there. But there's a lot there if anybody wants to take time and look through it. It's a lot of food for thought back in there. You wonder just, well, how much of it is Sasquatch and how much is wind.
Okay. Claire?
Well, yes, we, Rob, Nancy, myself, and Peter, we did walk up, and we were walking down, and I looked up on the ridge, and I looked again today. I went up there to see, and there's no skyline above where we saw. It was not skyline. In fact, when it happened, I could still see the skyline slightly through the trees, because it was not quite dark yet. And whether it was little twinkling lights or eye shine, there were lights. And then there were none, so we saw something, and we got kind of emotional because it was pretty beautiful, and it was a very good feeling. It was a good feeling. It wasn't scary, and they weren't very far away from us.
Right on.
And then I guess the thing that Kelly's talking about is, we lock the Jeep when it's way back there, and I left it open for her because she wasn't up yet or something, and she goes, "No, it's locked." And I go, "No, I didn't lock it." And she goes, "Well, it's locked." And so then I went in there to get my phone or whatever, because all my batteries have been deleted and burned out.
Drained, yeah.
Completely. And there's this twig in there. It's like a stick. Well, anyway, I didn't put it in there. I asked her if I left it in there thinking she was trying to save it. I go, "Did you want to take this home?" I didn't put that there. So it's just sitting right on the front seat.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, about this long.
A gift.
Yeah.
Right
Sitting
on.
right there. And now, like she said, that the door, she had left the door open or unlocked. But when I go, "No, it's locked," and she's like, "No, I swear it was like," and I'm like, "No." And then when we did unlock it again, yeah, there she goes, "What do you want me to do with this?" And I'm like, "That's not mine." And she's like, "Oh." And it was too big for it to like be stuck on your piece of clothing or something, to accidentally drug it in. So,
Well, we got yourself a special stick now.
Yeah.
Cool.
You can be Claire with it.
Exactly. But also, like Claire said, which I think Courtney had trouble too with the batteries and electricity and stuff like that.
My trailers, I have no electricity left in my trailer. Nothing will turn on. Nothing.
Wow.
No water heater, nothing electrical work.
And
My
she had
light
charged
bulbs,
it.
every one of them are blown out in black.
As of this trip,
Yeah, it worked up until yesterday afternoon.
something green really severe.
Well, and then
And I just went out there
My
and
bust
charged it
hurts.
on the generator.
And you suspected you had burned a fuse.
Yeah, so I thought I burnt some fuses, or I flipped the breaker, and I flipped all the breakers, every dang one of them. Checked every single fuse. They're fine.
Well, it did burn our fuse because we had a gentleman help us at the store where you work, and he came out and we found the fuse and it was burnt out. It's never happened
But there's
before.
no reason for it. There
And
wasn't
it also-
unless there was some kind of power surge or something to come back up and zap it. But anything that lighter, it must have blown the
phones.
to charge everything. But anything that was connected to that is out. And but as soon as we pulled in here that very first day, as soon as we pulled back there, my phone went from like 80 to 0. It's been dead since the very first day. And Claire's is constantly, even once she gets it charged up, it's just going dead. So,
Wow.
yeah.
Anybody else have any electrical issues?
I won't
know-
know till I start the bus. Or try to start the bus.
I've never experienced. I don't know if it's because they target certain people or what, but cameras or anything. I've never had a personal experience where anything I brought out was ever drained. So
No, we have had that. I've been very lucky this camp out. My car battery, my cameras, my
Yeah.
vape stick, I'm good, but when we were at Bumping Lake last year, you know, even my car battery was drained dead, and
My
Yeah.
phone, I had it off the whole time. Driving down the road, go to turn it on, and no, it was dead.
wow.
At Bumping Lake.
So, well, it's good to know they're being selective, so not everybody's getting totally drained. Just the chosen few.
And it did burn out my little guys that I do my e-cig into, and everybody's like, well, maybe they're trying to tell you something. I go, well, you don't want me going cold turkey off right now.
They've already seen you at your best.
But they're gone. They're both burnt out. They don't work.
And all the adapters are burnt out.
And they've
too.
never. I've been using them for.
Okay, Nancy?
Well, I was part of the group that did definitely see the eyes, the little white twinkling eyes, and again, I went back over this morning to make sure that what I wasn't seeing was the sky on the ridge line, and it wasn't. Also, it was not windy last night. That was one thing I was really looking up where I could see skylight last night, was to see if the trees were moving, and what I was looking at was some anomaly, you know, with the trees branches shifting, and it wasn't. They were stationary. So I walked about a foot, you know, kind of changed my position, and then I just stood really, really still, and I could see slight movement, and I had the impression that they were young, maybe young Sasquatch, kind of huddled up, and they weren't quickly moving, but slowly a head would maybe shift a little bit, and you'd see one eye, not another. You'd see a slow blink or a twinkle. I don't know if it was blinking or twinkling. So either it was young Sasquatch or it was some other animals up there. And I'm not familiar with what eye shine of other animals, what owls or anything look like, because it wasn't like two stationary objects like an owl blink or something like it. It wasn't anything like that. I just felt like very strongly that we were looking at some young Sasquatch. We talked to him very carefully. Said I had my light on the radiant, just a little red circle, and I said I need it here just so I don't trip, but I won't shine it up there. And I was being very careful just to keep it down by my side, and. You know, we just talked to them, and it looks like they were curious, just kind of watching us. But you know, they weren't moving a whole lot, but they could like, if we moved, you could just see like a light, kind of a little shift of something. So I had this strong impression there were maybe 3 of them there, and they were just kind of all bunched up, just kind of watching. And then when I went back up this morning, I could see some cut off logs where some old trees had been on there, and I kind of thought maybe they were up back there, but it was you could see a worn area. I had my binoculars out and I went down, and you could see where there's some kind of animal trails or something up there on that ridge. I personally wouldn't get up there and scramble around. I'd break a leg. But you could see where something had scrambled around up there.
Wow.
And I just felt like they were just all up there hunkered down because they could see down into the camp a little bit. And if they were young, maybe that was as close as their parents were permitting them to come in and watch.
Wow.
So, and then the other thing I have to report is I had an orange that I had out in my gifting area, which the animals totally trashed the first night. So I dismantled the gifting area, and I put the orange on the bridge right near my RV. And I thought, well, if somebody wants it, they can have it. Great big orange. So when I was coming back yesterday, one of my trips back and forth between the RV, I noticed the orange was gone. And it was there when I thought it was there when I went up to my RV, but when I come back, it was gone. And there were other people traveling the road. I thought, well, maybe somebody just took it for fun or got knocked off. I looked over the edge of the bridge and no, didn't see any fallen orange. But as I came across the bridge this way, I saw the top part where the orange attached to the stem, just sitting in the road, like somebody had bit it off or took it off and just dropped it. And it wasn't until I went back that I actually, and I was looking for orange, then went back and I thought, well, I'm going to go look for orange peels, see if they've peeled the orange. And I looked over there, no orange peels. Then I come back, and along the side of the road, here's the orange, and it had been pulled in half and just dropped. So, and then I turned it over and looked to see if there were any bite marks or anything on it. I couldn't see it, so maybe they licked it and it was sour to them, or the taste wasn't right, and they just didn't like it. It was just dropped.
Wow, well, that's interesting.
So that, you know, they didn't like my orange, didn't like my onions, didn't like my blueberries.
I had one small experience yesterday. I'm not really sure it was anything or not. I'd gone across into the woods over here near where the tree had broken by your tent. And I just went over there with Gabby and we just sat and listened to the woods for a while. And, you know, I've never actually had the feeling that somebody was watching me before, you know, like that heebie-jeebie feeling. But I was sitting there and it just kind of felt like there was somebody behind me. So I kept turning around and looking and, oh, there's nobody back there. And okay, Barb, you're just imagining things. So then, about the third time I turned and looked, I saw like a heat shimmer, but it wasn't like this way, it was like this way. And I turned and it was behind me, and it's like, okay, now you got something in your eye. You got a floaty or something. So I'm rubbing my eyes, and I turn and look, and nope, there's a shimmer. So, you know, it's like, okay, this isn't right. I'm rubbing my eyes. The third time I turned and looked back, I saw what looked like maybe a basketball-sized pale white translucent round shape about 10 feet from me, shot from like off my shoulder across to maybe traveled a distance of about 6 feet very quickly. And at that point I'm thinking, okay, now if that's a floaty in my eye, it moved way too fast. But, you know, I'm still rubbing my eyes and I'm looking over my shoulder trying to, you know, see if this is going to happen again. And you know, I tried looking out of my peripheral vision, you know, just look facing forward. I couldn't reproduce that same shimmer thing. So honestly, I can't say for a fact that it wasn't a floaty in my eye, other than it was just odd. And considering the spot that it happened in, it was a little different. But yeah, I don't know what that was. So anyway, I guess that wraps us up. We're done. Anybody else got anything? No. Okay, well.
Thank you.
Yeah, everyone welcome. And the food was excellent.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you, Barb.
All right, you're welcome. Okay, so this wraps up our 2017 May Campout, first one of the year. We'll see y'all next month. All right, bye.